Just a quick update before the video, DidYouKnowGaming is giving away a Nintendo Switch and 3 games. Check the link at the top of the description for more information. Did you know? If it weren't for the restraints of the Super Nintendo, Super Mario Kart may never have been made. Concepts for Super Mario Kart began in fall 1990 and came from a team of only 8 people. Nintendo veteran Shigeru Miyamoto supplied the original concept for the game, which was the idea to make a sequel to F-Zero. He envisioned the game as F-Zero for 2 players, since the original game was a single-player experience. However, this was deemed impossible, as F-Zero's long and straight racetracks and blindingly fast gameplay would be hard to pull off with 2 players on the Super Nintendo. They instead opted for a track design that was much shorter and more compact with a lot of twists and turns. According to the team, the only vehicle that made sense to traverse these courses were karts, as they moved a lot slower than what was seen in F-Zero. When it came to the game's roster, the team originally used generic overall-wearing men for racers. Though they had different color schemes, it wasn't very clear who was driving from their perspective. Roughly 4 months into the project, Nintendo decided on using more recognizable characters and took Mario for a test drive. Afterwards, the roster was quickly decided on. Following Mario, the team added Luigi and other characters who were recognizable from behind, such as Peach, Yoshi, and Bowser. Koopa Troopa was said to have been chosen last, as the team wasn't really sure what to do with him and decided to throw him in. Donkey Kong Jr. was picked over Donkey Kong due to the Donkey Kong Jr. game having its 10th anniversary the same year Super Mario Kart released. The fact that he wore a shirt also made him easier to draw. During the time the game had an undefined roster, the overall men would throw cans of oil as weapons, as the team found it appropriate for the characters. When the Mario roster was introduced, they thought about items that suited that universe, citing the Koopa shells as a great way to have something to shoot at and hone in on opponents. Banana peels came about for several reasons, serving the same purpose as the oil cans and complementing Donkey Kong Jr. due to his love for bananas. The lightning was made in the final stages of development, with the team wanting an item as a sudden upset to the flow of a race. The team were very dedicated to nailing the genuine feel of kart racing and followed up with several experiments. Although we've previously mentioned how staff went go-karting for research, they also went a step further by making their own remote-controlled kart from the ground up with a working engine. When the main programmer was given a chance to test the kart's drifting capabilities, he crashed into a wall and completely totaled the kart within 5 seconds. After the release of Mario Kart 64, series director Hideki Kono stepped away from the franchise for nearly a decade, being absent for Super Circuit and Double Dash. He'd been busy working on other titles like Luigi's Mansion and Wind Waker, and when he made his return to the series with Mario Kart DS, things only got busier for him. At the same time, Kono was serving as a producer for Nintendogs and was constantly juggling between the two, marking the first time he ever dealt with this kind of challenge. There were a number of ideas he had for the game that didn't make it into the final product, but one idea that didn't cross his mind at first was online functionality. Mario Kart DS was the first Nintendo game to support the now-defunct Nintendo Wi-Fi connection, but it wasn't implemented until 6 months out from the game's release. The team had focused on making the game work with 8 human players via wireless connection, and when that proved to work out well, they decided to take it online. Though Kono had been frustrated about having to scrap ideas, he was able to bring a lot of his concepts into Mario Kart Wii, alongside what he learned from Mario Kart DS. Mario Kart 7 was the first game in the series to be developed internationally. Mario Kart 64 received outside help from British studio Rare, who supplied Donkey Kong's model, but the Texas-based Retro Studios assisted in actual development of Mario Kart 7. Mario Kart 7 appropriately started out with a team of just 7, but when the team were ready to get into full development, several other games were in production. This left the team at Nintendo EAD short on team members. Kono asked his colleagues about any studios that might be able to help them out. They then chose to work with Retro, as they just finished production on Donkey Kong Country Returns and were available. Team members from both sides couldn't believe a collaboration like this was happening, as all previous Mario Kart games were done in-house. Some EAD members were concerned about clashing cultures and miscommunication. However, Nintendo had complete faith in Retro, as they proved they understood what the company strived for in their games, and the teams got to work in December 2010. Responsibilities of designing the tracks were split between the two companies. Nintendo EAD handled all the courses that were new to the game, whereas Retro worked on the classic tracks. graphics. These already had an outline in place, and Retro could simply add in new elements and features so it wouldn't be overly familiar to fans. They also found this to be a great way to design tracks and an interesting way to develop for hardware they previously hadn't touched before. The team also pitched ideas for new courses, some of which actually appeared in the final game, and had some series veterans wondering how they never came up with them before. In the Mario Kart 7 edition of Iwata Asks, concept art was shown for some ideas Retro had pitched. Among them is art for Shy Guy Bazaar, Rosalina's Ice World, Neo Bowser City, and DK Jungle. The same core team for Mario Kart 7 would return to develop Mario Kart 8. In an interview with Nintendo Life on the Wii U release of the game, director Kosuke Yabuki was asked about the game's roster, and if the team had thought about adding characters from other Nintendo series, a la Super Smash Bros. While he said the roster wasn't the most important feature of the game, he wouldn't rule out the possibility. And sure enough, characters like Link and Isabelle would make their Mario Kart debut via DLC. And with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch, so would the Inklings from Splatoon. Yabuki had also been asked if the Mario Kart team had ever considered getting rid of the blue shell item, a common source of anger for players. Yabuki said the team has tried to see what Mario Kart would be like without it several times, but they felt something was missing without its inclusion. In Yabuki's own words, "You know, sometimes life isn't fair, and that's frustrating. I think things are more interesting like that, with the blue shells of life." Similar to the devotion to Super Mario Kart, Mario Kart Wii went for a sense of realism with its controls, leading to the Wii wheel accessory. During development, Kono had the idea of creating a steering wheel, as its function is commonly understood by people of all ages. Kono presented a prototype he made to the team, and they loved it. The wheel went through over 30 prototypes before its final design, as the team tried to make a controller as durable and comfortable as possible. The blue ring was added on the back to make it seem more fun and inviting to those watching people play, and it would later be added to the logo for Mario Kart Wii itself. Mario Kart Wii is undoubtedly the best-selling game in the series and continues to make a profit even over 10 years since its original release. In October 2018, Nintendo's financial results showed the game had sold roughly 40,000 copies during the previous quarter, bringing the game's lifetime sales to 37.14 million. Mario Kart isn't all success, however. Mario Kart was planned to have an installment on the Virtual Boy console under the tentative title VB Mario Kart. The only known report of the game was in German gaming magazine Big N in their August 2000 issue, listed alongside other Virtual Boy games that would be cancelled. Mario Kart once had a spin-off of sorts in the works, being spearheaded by game designer Yute Saito, the man behind such games as Odama and Seaman. Saito, being a close friend of Miyamoto and Iwata, shared an idea with them during a friendly meeting in the early 2000s. Inspired by his recent delve into sculpting chunks of metal, Saito pitched the idea of a game about making car engines, and though it sounded a bit strange, Miyamoto and Iwata were willing to give him a shot. The game was being made for Nintendo DS hardware and went under the name Mario Motors. Players would sculpt metal into a cylinder, with that cylinder determining the effectiveness of the engine. The game didn't get far into development, and when asked about its cancellation, Saito remained vague. Another Mario Kart project that didn't come to fruition was revealed by engineer and technology entrepreneur Elon Musk. Musk claimed that Tesla attempted to add Mario Kart as a playable game in its line of cars. Models such as the Tesla S have a high-quality 17-inch screen, which would serve quite well as gaming displays. However, this idea was rejected by Nintendo. This information comes from Twitter, where a user asked Musk, "How about a version of Mario Kart where you can play against random people who are also charging their car at the moment?" Where Musk replied, "We tried. Nintendo won't license it to us." Variety.com speculated that Nintendo rejected Tesla's offer because Nintendo might be worried about the safety aspects of having Mario Kart playable in an actual vehicle and the legal issues that could have come with it. Speaking of legal issues, the series has also been the subject of some rather interesting lawsuits. In February of 2017, Nintendo took legal action against a Japanese company called Maricar, an obvious abbreviation of the Mario Kart name. The service allowed customers to dress up as their favorite Mario character and drive through Tokyo in a go-kart, to which Nintendo took legal action against. This legal battle lasted for over a year, but in October 2018, Nintendo won the case. Maricar was required to stop using Nintendo's likeness, as well as having to pay 10 million yen to Nintendo in damages, roughly $88,000 US. Even after losing the battle, the service wasn't about to be taken down so easily. Weeks later, the company changed their name to Mari Mobility and made the decision to keep the Nintendo-themed costumes as part of their gimmick, all the while trying to appeal the decision against them. Later in January 2019, Mari Mobility had the Japanese company Chizai Boei Kabushiki Gaisha file 2 trademarks on their behalf. The phrases trademarked were "Nintendo is irrelevant" and "unrelated to Nintendo" in Japanese Japanese and English respectively. Currently, the phrases are still being displayed on the Mario Mobility go-karts as the business is still in operation nearly 2 years later. Did you also know that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's developer accidentally used fan art in the game? Or that Ultimate started pre-production before Smash for Wii U and 3DS had all their DLC released? For more facts, check out the DidYouKnowGaming video on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.